What's up, everybody? I said I was going to try to start making videos on the channel addressing questions that I get about my K-cars. Today, mostly going to be going over the Sambar because that's mostly all I ever post about. So those are generally, most of the questions I get are regarding the Sambar. So I'm going to try to remember all of them from emails or DMs or whatever, and my memory's kind of short sometimes, so I may not address them all, but that's okay because you guys won't know what questions I've been asked because you're not looking in my DMs or my emails. So I'm going to try to go over a few that I know for sure that have been asked and come up quite often regarding the Sambar. Dang pterodactyl. Okay, first question. So I've made a ton of videos about the Sambar and how we're running naked back here, no engine cover. I am running, obviously, the engine cover in the bed, but no engine cover back here, mainly because our exhaust setup that me and Special K's have been making for the Sambars don't really fit with the covers. There's Greg at ATX Custom Autos who does an exhaust that fits with the cover. Guys are starting to take motorcycle mufflers, the Yoshimito or something, I don't know. You can just buy the motorcycle mufflers off of Amazon and essentially bolt them up to your stock manifold and still run the cover. Now, I'm running coverless for, a couple reasons. It won't fit, obviously, with the setup. 2, why hide all this? I mean, look at this beautiful valve cover, and I'm kidding. Obviously, I don't want to hide that, but mostly there's a lot of heat. Man, I got like a bug bite. There's a lot of heat that builds up back here on the Sambars. So allowing that heat to escape with the cover off is pretty, helpful. There's some pros and some cons to obviously taking that cover off. One being it's exposed, everything's exposed. So in the beginning, I was concerned, anybody could come up behind this thing and yank a plug wire off. I mean, thank goodness I'm very fortunate. I live on a couple acres, so I can park these things in the back and not have to be ever really concerned about that. But if you have to park on the street or whatever it may be, that would make me a little nervous for sure. I would probably have to figure out a different route or park this thing up against a wall so no one could get behind it. But if you can run coverless and you like running coverless, I think it's great because it releases heat. Now, there was another question. What do you do about rain and all that? Well, yeah, I live in Washington, so it rains quite frequently, half of the year. So that's another one. I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to that because I have choices. I don't drive this thing in the rain. The only time I do drive it in the rain is if I get caught in the rain. And for the most part, nothing really gets wet back here. And I know there's talk about, well, water flings up. I'm sure water would fling up back there and get things a little bit wet, but it's not getting drenched back here. I've come home getting caught in the rain a couple times, and I'll feel around and look around back here and nothing is incredibly wet and looking like it's gonna cause any damage. But obviously if you're plowing through puddles and such like that, that might be an issue without the cover. I don't know. You could still run through puddles with the cover and stuff will get wet. So that kind of blows that one out of the water. It really just comes down to, if you feel comfortable running the cover off or not. I have not had any issues. The only problem I have though without running a cover is when I wash the truck. I'm just really careful I have a pressure washer, so I just spray up high, let the water come down. I don't spray low so water shoots onto the engine and stuff. And if it does get wet, I just wipe it dry. I'm not spraying it directly, so I'm not shooting water into places that it shouldn't be getting. So you just got to be a little more careful when you're washing your truck or something if you don't have a cover. We certainly advocate, me and Special K's, not running the cover, because again, just lets the heat get out of there and it shows all this sexiness off in the back, the squid pipe and the red valve cover or whatever. If you dress up your engine, you know, you want people to see it. And that's what's so cool about sandbars, is you can see it. On an Acti, you'll never see it. There are guys who are putting like the clear covers, which is really cool, like the plexiglass on top of the engines in their trucks. So you can see like the top of the engine, maybe if you paint the valve cover. But you know, my van, you'll never see it. The van on the sandbar, the Acti van, you can't see it. The van on my sandbar, obviously you can see it because it's the same thing as the truck. So that was one question. Coverless, is it safe? I think it's safe. Again, it's just depends on the situation. I don't really drive this thing in the rain, but if I do get caught in the rain, everything's fine. So I wouldn't trip out about running coverless in the rain, because if you're going forward, water's gonna come up in that direction anyway. So what the heck difference does it make? Okay, let's see, what other questions? Okay, so the exhaust. Let's talk about the exhaust. So the headers, these are the headers that I sell. Now the exhaust portion of it, you can make yourself. If you have welding equipment or have access to that stuff, I get this question asked a lot. Is this something I can build? Absolutely. If you have the ability, a shop or whatever, you know, we bought the squirrely pipe. Special K's calls it the curly Q, I think. That's off of Amazon. That muffler's off of Amazon. You can build that stuff. You just buy a flange and bolt it up to the header. Other guys are just taking motorcycle mufflers and using the springs and a flange and just sucking it to the stock manifold, which works too. And then you can use some kind of exhaust seal. I know some guys take tin foil and wrap it up in there and use that as like a type of a seal. Doesn't look pretty, but it works. Especially if you're running a cover, you're not gonna see it anyways. You're just going for the sound at that point and reducing 30 pounds of weight with the stock exhaust, pulling it off. So that all this back here really depends on what you wanna do, minus obviously the header. Not everybody's gonna be able to build a header at home. So that's why I sell them, because I don't wanna have to try to make that thing. We call them the squid pipe because it kind of looks like a squid, the squid head and the body and the tentacles. I don't know, pretty trick. Or Greg at ATX Custom Autos has the equal length header now, which I got to do something with that eventually, because that's a pretty trick looking header as well. So I think that kind of addresses the cover and all that stuff. So let's move on to another question I get. Question number 2 or 3, I don't even remember now. Can you lower your truck and fit 15s on it? Yes, I am a living proof that 15s lowered fit. These are 15s. I think these are 6.5 inch, 15 by 6.5 on a 205 50/15 Falcon tire on a 15 inch by 6.5 inch Sparco wheel. Lowered on white Zoom down springs. I think it almost dropped it like 2 inches if I measured it correctly. So the white Zooms are very, very common in Japan. Over here, the Greddies are a little more common because they're more stateside. You can get those off of eBay. I had the Greddies on here, and when I put the white Zooms on here, it dropped it like another 1/2 inch. So I've got like maybe less than an inch of space in between the tire and the door. Do I bottom out? No, not really. feeling right here. I don't feel anything that it's rubbing. The suspension on these things is pretty dialed. The white zooms, I'm pretty happy with them. They're progressive, so it lets it sit pretty low. When you hit bumps, it's bouncy, but I don't bottom out. Now, I'm not a big guy, so, you know, I'm about I weighed myself the other day, I'm about 179, almost 180. So 180 does fine up here. Not sure if you get bigger, it might bottom out because, again, got about an inch of space between door and tire. The only rubbing that I do get is right in the back where the mud flap was. So I actually took the mud flap off because when you turned the tire, it hit the mud flap. I think I made a video on that. We lowered Special K's truck on these white zooms. These were his old white zooms I traded. We had to take the fender off, the mud flap off, so you could turn, because it doesn't turn with that mud flap, it pulls on the mud flap. So that was really the only concern, was the rubbing of the mud flap. He had to take them off because he did bottom out. Granted, he's a bigger guy, so and he has a hard time seeing. So I think he was just hitting too many potholes and stuff, and it wasn't good. It was gonna hurt something. But, you know, you kind of rub when I drive up into driveways, but mainly on the back because it's so close where we pulled the mud flap off. So it really just depends on what you want to do. Every look other than stock is gonna be some sort of issue in one way or another. Hey, Kalina, I'll be right back. Hi, Patito. Hi, guys. Got chicken out there. She always wants to fight with the ducks. Hi, Patitos. Okay, my phone's on fire. Let's go inside for some other questions that I get. So this one's a big question that comes up about RPM ranges and shifting and all that stuff. So let's talk about that. Oh man, what is that bug? Get the heck off of me. Okay, so if you have a Sambar, I think all K trucks, I'm pretty sure all K trucks have this. You'll see one, that's not focusing on it, but there we go. There's 2 and 3. So those are like the factory shift points. And at those shift points, it's screaming. I mean, you're probably close. Hey! Dang it. I'll be right back. Hey, patitos! They're mad because I broke up they're fighting. These two are my favorite, Georgina and Little Indy. Hi, Little Indy. Okay, so like I was saying, those are shift points, and it's screaming at that point. So if you don't have a tachometer, you're really just gonna have to hear the engine, and you know, for the most part, you'll feel the engine revving out pretty high when you need to shift. But if you get yourself a nice tack or a small tack, you can stick down there or whatever. These things redline, I think they redline around 75, something like that. So don't quote me because I don't want you to try it and blow your engine up. Because the carbureted ones, at least, they don't have governors. I don't even know if the EFIs have governors. But my shift point is usually around $4,000. So, you know, if I really need to speed up quick, I'm getting into the 5 range. But normal shifting, I'm in between 3 and 4. I know I'm shifting like a grandma, but I also would like to keep my Sambar as long as possible. But if you need to go on the freeway, now this is just me, so you don't have to listen to me, but when I'm on the freeway, I usually don't watch my speed because I'm not going to be speeding. I'm watching my tack, and I'm usually sitting around 5 to 5,500 RPMs. And usually, with these size of tires, hey, gosh dang it. This is turning out to be more difficult than watching small children. Hey, go. You guys don't need to be over here. I mean, you can, but you're gonna fight with them. So if you're cruising with my size tires around 5,500 RPMs, you're doing close to, I want to say 90 kilometers an hour, which is like 62 miles an hour, I think. I could be wrong. But again, I'm kind of an outlier. I don't take this thing on the freeway. So the fastest speeds that I'm hitting, the fastest speed in town is 50 or 55 miles an hour. So doing my grandma shifting and cruising at 5,000, 5,500 RPMs, I'm doing fine. If you're on the freeway, obviously that's a little trickier, trying to keep up with traffic. You can obviously go as fast as you want, but that's really going to limit the life of the engine. You could do like an oil cooler to help keep the oil cold, or keep the oil cool, so you're not burning your oil up and burning parts, bearings and such in the engine up, because the oil is really thinning out. So again, take everything I say, as my opinion. You can do what you want, but this is what I do to kind of help give my Sambars a longer and happier life. So 55 RPMs is usually like my max. If I'm pushing $6,000, that means someone's, I got to jet out in front of somebody on the road because I pulled in, and so I got to speed up quickly. But general rule of thumb, I stay within 5,000 RPMs, and she's pretty happy. Let me try to think of another question while I oh, there's Sunshine. Hi, Sunshine. Patita. Golden guy. You leave Sunshine alone. Indy, I'm watching you, buddy. I'm watching you. You stay away from Patita. Kalina. You can go, bud. You can go around the back. Keep going. Keep going. Good job, buddy. Thank you for listening. Snowflake on guard. Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, or whatever. Really help me out. And if you need parts, check out okgarage.com, my parts store. I know I'm slacking a little bit on parts right now. A lot of things are on back order, and it's all starting to pick back up. There was a typhoon in Japan, and I think it was slowing down a lot of the warehouses over there. But stuff is starting to trickle back in, which is great. So hang in there if you ordered something and it's back ordered, or if you want to purchase something and it's on back order. Don't worry, it's coming. You can just pre-order it basically, so you have it for sure when it gets here if you're not in a huge hurry. But yeah, cool. I'll try to address more questions when they come up, and try to put out little videos every once in a while. Maybe I'll do one on the Bravo next. I'm still doing a lot of learning on the Bravo, so when I get some more knowledge on that, I'll make a video on that. But again, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.